Listen to me, my friends. When Trump tried to call Modi, when America tried to put India under pressure, Modi did not bow, he did not bend. He stood tall, like a bodybuilder, lifting the heaviest weight. This is the lesson. You never kneel to pressure. You rise, you flex, you show the world that your spine is made of steel. When Trump tried to call Modi, when the United States tried to create pressure, the Indian Prime Minister did not bend, he did not compromise. He stood tall, and that is the essence of true strength. It is the same principle you find inside the gym when you are under the heaviest weight. You are standing under the bar. The weight is pressing down on you, and everything in your body screams to quit, to drop it, to escape. But if you want to grow, if you want to be more than ordinary, you hold that bar steady, you fight, you push, and you rise with it. That is exactly what Modi did when America tried to test him. He refused to break. He refused to be intimidated. This is not just politics. It is about showing the character of a nation. Think about it. For decades, the world was used to seeing America make a phone call and other countries running to comply, desperate to avoid conflict. But this time it was different. Modi sent a message without shouting, without arrogance. He sent it through silence, through refusal, through standing tall. That silence spoke louder than any speech. It was like flexing your muscles on stage without saying a word. The crowd knows the work you put in, the struggle, the sacrifice. They know you are unshakable. That is the way India projected its strength in that moment. Standing tall is not about ego. It is about self-respect. It is about telling the world that you are not for sale, that your dignity is not negotiable. When you are in the gym and someone tries to mock your training, to distract you, you do not waste energy shouting back. You stay focused, you lift heavier, and you let your actions silence the noise. India did the same with America's pressure. Instead of bowing down, instead of negotiating under threats, it simply showed that it is capable of carrying the weight on its own shoulders. This strength did not come overnight. Just like a bodybuilder spends years sculpting each muscle, India has spent years building its foundation, its economy, its technology, its defense, its global influence. That is why it can stand firm today. If you skip training, if you avoid the pain the day you face real pressure, you will collapse. But if you put in the work every single day, you are prepared when the challenge comes. Modi's refusal to bow to Trump's call was backed by years of preparation, by the resilience of 1 billion people, by the muscle India has developed through sacrifice and determination. When the world watches a man lift something impossible, they admire him. But when they see a nation stand against blackmail, they respect it. And respect is more valuable than any deal, any bargain, any temporary gain. This moment was not about rejecting a call. It was about setting the tone for the future. It was about saying to every country, if you want to deal with India, deal with us as equals, not as masters and slaves. It was about declaring that India is no longer a follower, but a leader, a power that refuses to be controlled. Standing tall is not only about courage, it is about inspiring others. When people see someone stand against pressure, they begin to believe that they too can stand. This is what India achieved, not only for itself but for other nations who are tired of being pushed around. It showed them that it is possible to look the strongest country in the eye and say no. That kind of defiance is not arrogance, it is freedom. So when Trump tried to call and Modi did not bend, it was more than a political act. It was the symbol of a new India, an India that stands like a champion, that does not kneel under weight, that carries its destiny in its own hands. It was the image of a lifter at the peak of his power, holding the weight high above his head, muscles trembling but unbroken, shouting to the world without words, I am strong, I will not fall. That is what standing tall like a champion truly means. America thought it could play the old game, the game it had mastered for decades, blackmail. It believed that threats and pressure would force India to bend, that promises of favor on one hand and warnings of punishment on the other would be enough to break India's will. But this time, it did not work. India looked at that strategy and, like a disciplined athlete rejecting the easy road of steroids and shortcuts, it said no. The temptation was there, the pressure was real, but the refusal was stronger. This is the true essence of power. the ability to reject what weakens you even if it seems easier in the moment. In life, blackmail comes in many forms. Sometimes it is someone who tells you that, unless you obey them, you will lose something valuable. Sometimes it is the world itself, tempting you to compromise your values for a quick gain. But champions do not play that game. They know that every shortcut leads to weakness, every compromise to regret. India chose discipline over fear, independence over submission. Modi's refusal was not about arrogance, it was about strength of character. Just as the bodybuilder says no to drugs that promise fast muscles but destroy the body, India said no to America's blackmail that promised favors but destroyed sovereignty. Understand this. Rejecting blackmail takes more strength than accepting it. To accept is easy, you avoid conflict, you avoid pain, you avoid the hard path. But to reject is hard. It means choosing the fight, knowing it will cost you, knowing it will test you. But that is where greatness is built. India took the hard path. It looked at the pressure from the United States, and it chose to endure it rather than surrender. That decision alone has already made India stronger, because every test you face and overcome adds to your muscle, to your spirit, to your reputation. Think of the great lifters, the legends in the gym. They are admired not because they picked the easy weights, but because they chose the heavy ones, the painful ones, the ones that almost broke them. Blackmail is a test of weight. America put a heavy bar on India's shoulders, expecting it to collapse. But India lifted it and stood tall. This is how you earn respect, not by pleasing others, not by surrendering, but by showing that no matter how heavy the pressure, you can carry it. And there is something else. Blackmail is always built on fear. It says, if you don't obey, you will lose everything. But fear is powerless in front of someone who refuses to be controlled. India showed that fear cannot control it. This is the lesson for every individual too. The moment you stop being afraid of losing, you become impossible to blackmail. In the gym, if you are afraid of pain, you never grow. But if you embrace it, if you face it head on, you break limits. India faced the threats, embraced the challenge, and broke free of the trap. The rejection of blackmail was not just a political act, it was a symbol of independence. It was a message to the world. India does not follow orders. India makes decisions, and in this there is a transformation, because once you reject blackmail, once you stand firm, the blackmailer loses power. America realized that its threats mean nothing if the other side does not care. That is the moment when the game changes. That is the moment when power shifts. So when India said no, it was more than defiance, it was evolution. It was the birth of a stronger identity, a declaration of sovereignty, a refusal to be bought or broken. Just like the athlete who chooses the hard training over the easy pill, India chose the pain of resistance over the weakness of submission. And in doing so, it built a new kind of strength, one that will last far longer than any temporary favor America could have given. India's message was clear. Reject the chains, reject the shortcuts, reject the blackmail. Because the one who refuses to kneel will always stand taller than the one who demands submission. That is the power of discipline, the power of will, the power of saying no to what weakens you. Trump underestimated India's confidence, and that was his biggest mistake. He thought that by applying pressure, by creating fear, by projecting the might of America, India would buckle. But what he failed to realize is that true power does not come from threats or intimidation. It comes from within. Just like when you step into the gym, the weights do not make you strong by themselves. It is your mind, your belief, your discipline that transforms those weights into strength. The same is true for nations. India's strength is not a gift from outside powers. It is not a product of favors. It is born from within, built on the sweat, the labor, the sacrifice of its people. Confidence is a muscle, and like every muscle, it grows when you put it under strain. For decades, India has faced challenges, economic struggles, wars, political instability, foreign pressures. But each challenge was like a heavy set of weights. Every time, India pushed, strained, fought, and in the process, built resilience. Today, when America tried to blackmail and intimidate, India stood calm because its confidence was already forged. When you have already lifted the heaviest bar, when you have already suffered the toughest sets, no new challenge can scare you. Look at the difference between false strength and true strength. False strength is borrowed. It depends on others. It crumbles when pressure comes. True strength is self-made. It cannot be taken away because it is part of you. Trump's threats were designed for countries that rely on America for survival. But India is not one of them. Its strength comes from its own foundation, its economy that keeps growing, its military that keeps advancing, its culture that inspires pride in every citizen. When you build strength this way, you do not fear the threats of others. When you stand in front of the mirror in the gym, you know if the muscles are real or fake. You know if they came from hours of sweat or from shortcuts. That reflection tells the truth. In the same way, India's reflection shows real power, earned power. The United States expected fear, but what it saw was confidence. And that confidence made the threats meaningless. This is why true belief in yourself is more powerful than any weapon, any army, any threat. Because a nation or a person who believes in themselves cannot be broken. Modi understood this deeply. He knew that responding to America with weakness would destroy the confidence India had built over decades. He knew that the real power of leadership is not giving in to fear, but reinforcing the faith of the people. By refusing to bow, he told every Indian, "We are strong enough on our own. We do not need to be controlled. We are not a puppet in someone else's game." That message is more powerful than any speech, because it builds collective confidence in the nation. And confidence spreads. When one person believes in themselves, it inspires others to do the same. When one nation stands tall, it encourages others to rise too. India's refusal is not only a shield for itself, it is a torch for others, showing that you can be independent, you can be free, you can trust your own strength. That is how leaders inspire the world, not by begging for approval, but by showing unshakable confidence. Trump underestimated this because he thought confidence comes from money, weapons, or pressure. But India proved it comes from character, discipline, and unity. The people are the real muscle of the nation, and no outside force can break that. Just as a bodybuilder's strength cannot be bought, India's power cannot be traded. It is earned, it is lived, it is real. So remember this, the greatest power is not in threats, not in blackmail, not in intimidation. The greatest power is self-belief. It is looking into the eyes of the strongest opponent and knowing deep inside you cannot be broken, you will not fall. That is the confidence India showed the world, and that is the confidence every champion must carry, whether in the gym, in life, or on the global stage. America wanted respect through force. It wanted to show India that by threatening, by pressuring, by demanding, it could command obedience. But respect is not something you can demand, it is something you must earn. This is true in life, in sports, in leadership, and in international politics. The moment you demand respect, you reveal weakness, because real strength does not need to ask for it. It shines on its own. India understood this, and Modi made it clear to Trump that respect cannot be forced, it must be deserved. Think about the stage of a bodybuilding competition. The champion does not walk out and shout at the judges, "Respect me, give me the trophy." No. He walks out, silent, calm, powerful. His physique, his discipline, his years of sacrifice speak louder than words. The respect comes naturally, because it has been earned. This is exactly what India did when America tried to play the bully. It did not scream or beg. It simply stood tall, relying on its own progress, its own achievements, and let the world recognize its strength. When a country tries to impose respect by blackmail, what it gets is not respect but fear. And fear never lasts. The moment the pressure is gone, the respect disappears. But earned respect lasts forever. Because it is built on trust, consistency, and proof. India has proven its worth in the global arena. Its economy is growing among the fastest in the world. Its technological power is undeniable. Its democratic foundation is admired, and its military is formidable. These are not things America can give or take away. These are India's own achievements, and they are the foundation of real respect. For too long, many nations lived under the illusion that respecting America meant obeying America. But India shattered that illusion. It showed that you can respect a country's power while still refusing to be controlled by it. Modi's refusal was not an act of disrespect. It was an act of self-respect. And when you respect yourself, the world has no choice but to respect you too. This is the same as in life. If you constantly bow to others, if you constantly beg for validation, people will never truly value you. But if you stand firm in your identity, in your hard work, in your discipline, you naturally command respect without ever asking for it. Trump's mistake was thinking that respect could be demanded through pressure. But India made it clear that respect must be mutual. It is a two-way street. America may be powerful, but so is India. The balance of the world has shifted, and the days of one-sided respect are gone. Today, nations must recognize each other as equals if they want true partnerships. And in that moment, by refusing to bend, India reminded America of this new reality. Leadership is not about shouting the loudest or threatening the hardest. It is about commanding respect through action, through consistency, through strength. Modi's refusal to take the call under pressure was a demonstration of leadership. He did not need to prove anything with words. His action spoke for itself, and the world took notice. That kind of leadership inspires trust, not fear. It inspires admiration, not resentment. The lesson here is simple. Respect is earned, not demanded. And the way you earn it is through hard work, through discipline, through proving yourself day after day. Just like in the gym, you do not demand applause. You earn it by lifting heavier, by training harder, by showing the results of your effort. The audience will clap because they see the truth in front of them. Nations are no different. If you want respect, you cannot bully others. You must build yourself up so high that the respect comes naturally. India has done that. And by refusing to bow to America's blackmail, it has reminded the world of the truth. Respect cannot be taken, it must be given freely. And once it is earned, it cannot be taken away. That is the power of self-respect, and that is why the world now looks at India with admiration. The message was loud and clear. India cannot be bullied, it cannot be bought, and it cannot be blackmailed. When Modi refused Trump's call, it was not just a rejection of one conversation. It is a declaration to the entire world that India walks on its own path. It was a statement of independence, of power, of destiny. In that moment, India was not just speaking to America, it was speaking to every nation, every leader, every observer. We are not weak, we are not followers, we are not for sale. That message resonates beyond politics. It is the message of a champion. When you see a true champion in the gym or on the stage, you know they are different. They don't beg for approval. They don't plead for recognition. They let their work, their physique, their discipline speak. That is what India did in that moment. Modi didn't need to argue, didn't need to explain. The refusal itself was enough. The silence carried the weight of 1 billion voices. The world heard it, and the world understood. India will decide its future. Not Washington, not any other capital. This is bigger than one phone call. This is about rewriting the rules of the global order. For too long, America has played the role of the enforcer, the bully, the one who dictates terms. Many countries, even powerful ones, have bowed down out of fear. But India showed that this era is ending. The world is multipolar now, and strength comes not from bullying, but from balance. India's refusal told every country watching that you do not need to bow to survive. You can stand tall, and if you have the courage, others will respect you for it. This message is powerful because it goes beyond governments. It speaks to ordinary people too. Every individual knows what it feels like to face pressure, someone trying to control you, someone trying to make you submit. And deep down, we all want to resist. We all want to stand tall, but many people fear the consequences. India's act was a lesson. Strength comes from courage, not from compromise. And when you show courage, you inspire others to do the same. That is why this moment is not only political, it is motivational, it is universal. Think about how history remembers great leaders. They are not remembered for obeying stronger powers. They are remembered for standing up, for saying no when everyone expected them to say yes. Gandhi is remembered because he refused to bow to empire. Churchill is remembered because he refused to surrender to tyranny. Every true leader earns their place in history not by following orders, but by rejecting them. Modi's refusal has placed him, in India, in that tradition of leaders who choose independence over submission. And the world took notice. Other nations who have faced American pressure saw hope. They saw that it is possible to resist, to reject, to stand without fear. In that moment, India became not only stronger for it, but also a symbol for others. This is how leaders are born, not only through victories, but through defiance in the face of power. Just as a champion inspires others in the gym by showing what is possible, India inspired others on the world stage by showing that blackmail can be defeated. The message is not just to America, it is to every future challenger. If you think India can be controlled, you are mistaken. If you think India will bow, you are wrong. India will listen, India will negotiate, India will partner, but always as an equal, never as a servant. That is the line that Modi drew with his silence, with his refusal. It was not arrogance, it was dignity. And dignity is the ultimate strength. So the message to the world is simple and powerful. India is strong, India is free, India decides its own destiny. And that is what every champion, every leader, every nation should strive for. The courage to say no, the power to stand tall, and the discipline to walk their own path, no matter how much pressure the world applies. That is how legends are made. That is how history is written.